Hey, fantastic fam. Welcome to our community where we combine the woo and the work. We are two professional women who believe we can have it all and constantly upgrade ourselves to meet our visions. I'm Kalyani and I've chosen the off-roading path to personal development, being an entrepreneur with the journey of motherhood. I'm an economics postgraduate and I love working with all things mind and money. I've founded and sold one business and I'm now building this business that feels like fun and freedom for life.
Hi, I'm Rupali. I'm a numbers nerd turned Reiki master and many other things. I found a passion for all things wellness. I've worked in banking and finance for 15 years and I love combining that knowledge with all things energetics to create impact in a fun, easy way for others. Join us as we share the behind the scenes of us creating wealth, freedom and magic.
Today I want to speak about how I combine energetics and stock markets, two subjects that I'm very, very passionate about and that I'm bringing together in my brand, which is She Invests. For a very long time, I was on the fence or kind of keeping myself confused, I should say, about how to use these two things together in adding value to my clients' lives, in adding value to my audience. And while I was waiting to figure this out, it struck me that the way that the two topics that seem very polar opposite, seem very far away, have impacted me positively is the same way that I can articulate them to impact my audience and my clients positively. So that's what I have been doing more so since the last, I would say, 6 months to 8 months from when I'm recording this episode, which is in December 2024. And I feel like it's been the truest expression of my authentic interests, my authentic journey. So I hope you enjoy me bringing these two topics together as well. And today I want to speak about how I bring them together, how I use them in a very kind of applicable, action-oriented way. So the first way I use energetics with my stock market investments is rewiring myself for the belief that someone's out to get me. The stock market is out to get me. The stock market is a gamble. The stock market always leads to a loss. Stock markets are risky always. You never make money on the stock markets. All of these social beliefs that we often hear being repeated in the social consciousness were with me as well, and they kind of lead to a point where you stop trusting what you're doing. You kind of believe that big money institutional investors are always the ones that earn out of this game. It's a zero-sum game. I had to neutralize all of these beliefs because we all know successful traders, successful investors who have made money from the stock markets as well. We know, if you don't know anyone personally, then we definitely know so many in the public domain, right? Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, so on and so forth. There are so many famous names out there, and just having their books, having their stories as inspiration really helped me, because it meant that there was an alternative reality present. There was an alternative present. There was a contrarian view. And there were people making money from the stock markets. Yes, it does need knowledge, it does need patience, it does need technical know-how. But I'm willing to put all of that in. I'm willing to input all of that. So it took me some time to rewire this belief. And this belief very much comes from having an underlying set point of abundance, an underlying set point of believing in being able to generate money, believing in the creation of money, and I want to say also enjoying that creation, because with the stock markets you pretty much earn money from what feels like the air, you know. At least that's what it feels like to me. So there are numbers going around your screen, there are numbers going up and down on the charts, there are numbers all around us, and it feels like you kind of grab a slice of those numbers when you trade in the stock markets, because I mean, it is quite easy, right? Which takes me to the next belief I had to rewire for myself. It's too good to be true, is what I felt often. And how can this happen? Like, this is just too easy. So, if it's easy, my internal set point, which is very much used to be very much dictated by life has to be a struggle, we need to work hard for money, would not accept these wins because it was too easy. I just had to press a few buttons. And I really clocked on to this when I started making a string of losses, especially when I was experimenting with options. And it just felt like I was making big gains, but then I would make big losses as well because there was no capacity to keep the big gains in my conscious system, in my energetics. So that's something that I had to change, from pivoting instead to it is too easy and this is the reality I choose. It is too easy and this is the life that I have chosen. Saying that, I have to say that stock markets seem easy, but they're not simple. I hope I've got this right. No, sorry. It's simple but not easy, meaning that it's simple to understand, it's not complicated, but to stay committed, to work on your mindset is the tougher, more challenging bit. So it's not easy as such, but yes, it is too good to be true because because these options, we are so used to working our backsides off that it feels like, oh, this should be illegal, or how is this even possible? Am I allowed to have this abundance without working my ass off? So I had to neutralize all of this over a period of, let's say, about 2 years to come to a point of truly feeling neutral about the stock market. And from that neutral place of no one's out to get me, true abundance truly exists, and it's okay if it's easy. It is easy, and that's the life I choose. It is easy, and that's my truth. From that place came a lot of excitement to experiment with new things, to kind of make bold decisions instead of coming from a place of desperation. Previously, if I had to make up for losses or if I had to prove something to myself. So from this place of excitement, I feel is where most of my gains have come from. The next way that I use my energetics or subconscious is to stay committed to the companies that I've chosen to invest in. Once I do my research, I don't get shaken out if there are temporary red unrealized losses on the company, because I think that's the self-trust that I've built on my own conviction, on my own research. And this doesn't just come from research within the stock market realm, it also comes from sticking to workout plans that I've made, sticking to, let's say, diet restrictions that I commit to, sticking to my word, sticking to promises that I make to myself is how I've built a lot of self-trust. And this one thing I think is so important for all adults and children, to be fair, to build on. If you don't practice what you say, if you lie about being on the way when you're in the shower, if you say, oh, you're going to turn your life around with exercise and diet, but then you carry on ordering from your favorite restaurants the next day, then your self-trust is so diminished that you don't feel that you can kind of have confidence or trust any of your decisions. This leads to a lot of analysis paralysis, which is not useful in the stock markets at all. The last way in which I use my energetics along with stock market investments that I'm naturally kind of downloading today. I'm sure there's a lot more that goes on in the background, which I have normalized so much that it doesn't even occur to me. But these are kind of the notes that I made. So the last way that I obviously use in my investments is to be very aware of what feels light and what doesn't. in terms of checking in with my alignment day to day, week to week, season to season. So there are phases in my life, as there are with everyone else's lives, where things get busy. At the moment, I'm in Delhi because of my dad's treatment, and that means that I am not in my usual setup. I don't have the usual support that I would be able to depend on, and that means that my capacity is less. So I don't have any active trades going on. I just have my long-term investments going on because I don't want to take the pressure of not being able to watch my trades on a regular basis and then losing on them. So this is one example. The other example would be that I am already researching how I would like to experiment with options again, because that feels fun and light to me, and that is definitely something that I want to start doing for my personal gains in the first quarter of 2025. So that's another example. The third example could be investing in companies that I truly believe in. So for example, I used to have a mentor back in 2021 who was much younger, but possibly because of his age or because of his sources, he used to be very invested in electric vehicles and cannabis stocks. So I was watching these stocks, and yes, people have made a lot of money from these. He was also very invested in crypto ETFs and the likes. So I did watch these stocks, but something about them just did not strike me because A, they had not been public for so long. B, I don't believe in some of their business models, especially if I don't understand the business models, if I don't understand the business, then that means that it doesn't have the intentionality or the commitment that I would like to have behind an investment, especially in the downturns. So I very much tune in and only invest in companies that truly speak to me. And let me tell you, there are many such companies that are good businesses. Some of them are very well known, some of them may not be very well known, but there's never a dearth of good investments in the markets. This is something that I would really like for you to remember. There's never a dearth of good investments in the markets. There's only a lack of research or only a lack of exposure, which again I help my clients with. Once we finish with this She Invests 45 journey, or any form of coaching where we've worked on technical know-how, then I open up a container called the Trade Clinic for all my clients, where we meet every Mondays 8 p.m. GST. We bring our research to the call. Research and questions both get discussed in the call in a lot more detail compared to She Invests 45, which is a program that needs to run at its pace. So this is a more informal setting. I bring my own research. You have my eyes on your research as well through the call, and that's something that really adds value. So I hope this episode was useful in shedding some light on how I bring these seemingly far off topics together. And if you have any questions, if you'd like to enroll in She Invests 45, then please drop me a message. Otherwise, until next time, bye-bye.
We would really appreciate your feedback as reviews on the podcast app you tune in from. Support us also by sharing this podcast with 3 of your besties who would benefit from being fantastic.